You know, every year, millions of us roll up our sleeves for the annual flu shot. It feels routine, right? But this season, the vaccine you're going to get is, well, it's fundamentally different. It's actually missing a piece. And the story of why it's missing is this incredible tale of global surveillance, a disappearing virus, and a medical mystery that happened right under our noses. So what happened? And what does it mean for your next flu shot? Let's get into it.
So let me just start with a question that sounds like it's straight out of a movie. What if one of the 4 main types of seasonal flu that we vaccinate against just vanished? I mean, completely wiped from the face of the earth. Because it looks like that's exactly what happened, and it was likely an unintended consequence of our fight against another virus entirely. The number of times this particular flu strain has been seen since March of 2020? 0. A big round 0. Think about that. In a massive global network of labs that are constantly hunting for the flu, this one strain, the B/Yamagata lineage, has completely dropped off the radar. Not a single confirmed case. Anywhere. It's just gone.
And this whole disappearing act, it has a direct impact on you. It's the reason the flu shot itself is changing. For years, we've gotten used to the quadrivalent or 4-strain vaccine. It was designed to fight 2 A strains and 2 B strains. But, with the B/Yamagata strain gone, global health authorities like the FDA basically said, why include something that doesn't exist anymore? So this year, we're all moving to a more focused trivalent or 3-strain vaccine.
Now, a huge decision like this doesn't just happen overnight. It's actually the result of this incredible year-round effort to predict which flu viruses are going to be the biggest problem. So let's kind of pull back the curtain and see how scientists actually forecast the flu. It all comes down to this massive project called the Global Influenza Surveillance and Response System. And honestly, the best way to think about it is like a global weather service, but for viruses. Instead of tracking storms and pressure systems, you have thousands of scientists tracking how different flu strains are moving, changing, and evolving all over the world in real time. And this whole process, it runs like absolute clockwork every single year. It all kicks off with this constant stream of data from over 100 labs around the world, all feeding samples into the network. Then you get to the big meeting in February. That's when the WHO makes its official recommendation for the Northern Hemisphere. From there, agencies like the FDA in the US finalize the recipe, and that gives manufacturers the green light to start the massive race to produce hundreds of millions of doses for the fall.
Okay, so after all that incredible global detective work, what's the final recipe for this season's new 3-strain shot? Let's take a look at what's actually inside. All right, I know this table looks a little complicated, but it tells a really cool story. First, look at that B-like column. See how everyone agrees on B/Austria? That's the strain that's stepping in for the one that vanished. But now look at the A strains. You'll see different names depending on whether the vaccine is egg-based or cell-based. For decades, we've grown these vaccines in eggs, but newer methods use animal cells. And because the virus can change just a little bit depending on how it's grown, scientists actually pick a slightly different version for each method. It's all about getting the absolute best match for our immune systems. It's pretty amazing.
So when you see a name like A/Victoria/4972/2022, your eyes might just glaze over, but it's actually a brilliant little tracking code. It tells a scientist everything they need to know. The virus type is A, it was first found in Victoria, it has a specific lab number, and it was detected in 2022. It's basically like a passport for a virus.
Okay, so we've gone pretty deep on the science. But let's get to the most important question. What does all this actually mean for you? Let's break down the latest advice.
The official recommendation from the CDC is for pretty much everyone 6 months and older to get the annual flu shot. But it's especially, and I mean especially critical for these groups. We're talking about young kids, adults over 50, pregnant people, and anyone with a chronic health condition. For these folks, the flu isn't just a bad week, it can be incredibly severe. So getting this updated vaccine is a really high priority.
Okay, but what about older adults? As we get older, our immune systems sometimes need a little extra kick. So is the standard shot the best way to go for people over 65?
Well, turns out there are actually more powerful options. The CDC now preferentially recommends that adults 65 and older get a specially formulated vaccine. That could be a high-dose version, which just has more of the active ingredient, or what's called an adjuvanted vaccine, which has an ingredient to really rev up the immune response. Both are designed to give older adults that extra protection they need. But, and this is key, if those aren't available, any flu shot is way, way better than no shot at all.
For decades, this was a huge question for a lot of people. I mean, since most flu vaccines are grown in eggs, it was a real concern. So, what's the official word on this now?
Let's be crystal clear about this one because it's a big one. The CDC has confirmed that having an egg allergy, even a severe one, is not a reason to skip your flu shot. Any of the approved vaccines are considered safe. The amount of egg protein in them is just so incredibly tiny. So yeah, consider that myth officially busted.
And finally, let's talk timing. So when should you get it? For most of us, September and October are the absolute sweet spot. That gives your body plenty of time to build up protection before flu season really hits its peak. Now, some groups, like young kids who might need 2 doses or pregnant people in their 3rd trimester, can even start as early as July. But the main takeaway here is that it's never too late. You should keep getting vaccinated as long as the flu is making the rounds.
So, we've walked through this whole massive year-long process, from scientists hunting for viruses all over the globe to the actual shot in your arm. But why? Why do we go through all this trouble every single year?
I think this quote from the European Medicines Agency just says it all. Influenza viruses continuously change and evolve. They're a constantly moving target, and that means our defense, the vaccine, has to be updated every year just to have a fighting chance.
And that brings us right back to where we started. This strange case of the disappearing B/Yamagata virus. It's maybe the most dramatic example of this evolution we have ever seen. I mean, we're watching it play out in real time. We saw a virus that might have been driven to extinction by our own efforts to fight another disease. The fact that the entire world is now shifting to a new 3-strain vaccine this year, it just shows how incredibly fast and adaptive global science can be.
So, we just watched one of our most common vaccines evolve right before our eyes, all because a virus just up and vanished. It really makes you wonder, in this new era of vaccine technology and incredible global surveillance, what other breakthroughs are right around the corner?